Hey, now we're going to talk about Moon in Taurus and what that means, and your relationship and how your relationship would have been with your mother. And when you look into astrology, please, don't take everything too literally. I mean, like, cause I often hate Libra traits, but you've got to look at things from both sides. So for something that might be relatable to one person, it might be another thing. So a lot of things can be two things, if you get what I'm saying. Anyway, so if you have a moon in Taurus or a moon in the second house, listen up, or you know someone with this placement, then this is for you. First of all, this is meant to be the most favourable moon placement to have, so lucky you. I don't know what that feels like, but so moon in Taurus is where it feels home. So you want to think of it like at home. It feels comfortable. You have exaltation, you have domicile, you have fall, and then you have detriment. So in detriment, it's in Capricorn. In fall, it's in Taurus. In exaltation, it's in Cancer. And then in domicile, I get confused with those two, but in domicile, it's Taurus, okay? So they're opposite, opposing things, all right there. So Capricorn's opposite Cancer, Taurus is opposite Scorpio. I didn't say Scorpio, I don't think. Yeah, but moon in Scorpio is opposite to moon in Taurus. And often, yeah, you'll find the moon sign opposite you works quite favourably, more than your sun sign opposition. I don't know why, it just seems to be quite good, because on an emotional level, like who you are on a deeper level. So this is who you are on a deeper level. People might think that you come across as quite materialistic. That's what I'm going to say off first. But this may be due to your upbringing. You may have been the child that was ignored and you got on with things of yourself. So I'm going to go and say that your mum may have been quite dynamic. She could have... Sorry, the Kardashians are distracting. She could have had a thing to do with property and house sales as you were a child. She could have been really good at making money. But if you want to look on the dark side, well, you don't want to look on the dark side. But if it's on the dark end of the spectrum, it could be house losses. It could be a loss of a mortgage. It could be a loss of a house. So you might have not felt so secure, like, in that sense of, like, the real basic thing of having a home. You might have felt like that was really unstable for you, especially if you're going to have other aspects, like, say, Saturn on your moon, or Saturn opposition your moon, or Pluto conjunct your moon. That's going to make your relationship with your mother heightened. It can make it really close. It can make it quite unhealthy, you know? It's not always going to be the same for everyone. And like I said, just because it's the most positive placement doesn't necessarily mean it feels like that for you. So that's why I say to you, like, you've got to look at everything. So your mum could have been a bit of a recluse. She might have made you work quite hard from quite young. And like I said, if you came from a bigger family, you might have felt like you were ignored by your mum a bit. She was more distracted trying to sort out resources and just keeping things afloat above her head and that. So that became, not that you're always aware of things like this, but that became instilled into you that was an important thing. But it also could have made you feel very insecure about that, you know. And that's why we have to heal, like, family trauma, because it goes back so deep, you know. It's a comfortable place, because obviously Taurus is like the most ripe earth sign. So it's, Taurus starts in about just after the 19th of April. So if you're born on the 19th of April, my nan's got that birthday. You could have been born later at night, so it can change each year. But we want to say the 20th of April, that's when spring is, that's when mating season is. So it makes it a very fertile moon. So you could have had children very young, you were very fertile, like, you know, the moon's that's where it wants to be. That's what the moon sign is. It represents the mother, it represents your cycle, it represents who you are as a woman or a man. I mean, my content's more directed towards women, because I like to make women feel empowered, because I feel like society holds a much higher standard for women than we do men. So you may have held some, like, grudges towards your mother, but she might not know, because like you still feel very responsible for her, because whether that means in that second house or that means in Taurus, you're going to feel that responsibility. Taurus is the advisor. Taurus is like, is going to tell you things you need to hear, and Taurus is very like naturally known for being good with money. I mean, so if you're a Taurus, you could have Aries placements that may F that up a little bit, but not necessarily, not always, like I said. But yeah, so your mum might not even know. So this is the thing with Taurus placements as well that you need to be aware of. You might how do I put this in the right words, because I don't want to be horrible. So you could be holding a grudge about someone and expecting them to be psychic and understand that you have a grudge against them, but you're not voicing it to them. You need to voice it to them. You need to have it out with them and say, look, this is how I feel about it. It's making me feel uncomfortable. You can't just expect them to like sense how you feel. Not everybody's going to do that unless they've got strong Scorpio placements or Cancer placements, or even Pisces. But mainly Cancer and Scorpio. But not everybody's going to feel like that, you know. So you can't just expect everybody to feel in that same way that you do, and expect them to just be mind readers, because life doesn't always work like that. But I'll say you have a very strong work ethic, which is a good thing to have, I believe, in life, because obviously we need money. I know people say money's like an energy, and money is an energy. It doesn't make you happier, it just makes life easier. That's what I believe. I've never had that much luck with money, so I always believe like it doesn't make you happy. Like, it just makes things more convenient, and that's what you want. And Taurus likes those things. It likes luxuries in life, and who doesn't? It likes rich foods, and you want to be able to do that. So you've worked hard from really young, and you've taken on any sort of earth sign anyway, has that sort of feature. And like I said, even the moon in the second house, even if it's like not in Taurus, it's going to take on those Taurus traits, or even if it's in a Taurus degree. So you've got to always put that into consideration. You're not just a sun sign, you're in the sun sign, in the degree, the house, and everything. So you take those responsibilities, you don't take them lightly. And when you have your own children, you might do the opposite to what your parent did, and you want to give them so much love, and you want to give them so much stability and care, and so your mother probably showed you love in a way of a more materialistic way, say, than a more emotional way, like through a nice home-cooked meal, by setting you up a fund, that kind of sort of stability, not something like emotional stability, which a lot of us crave, and I think a lot of us don't realise that. So your mum may have done that, and like the family tradition may have been really big, and you might have sat down and all at the table as a family. She got you to do chores and stuff. But on the lighter or darker end of the spectrum of this is what I was saying, is your mother may have made you have a lazier trait. If it's conjunct with Pluto, like I said, it could have made you where your mother has like done so much for you and didn't expect you to aspire to do it yourself. So then you always relied on her or somebody else to fill that void, because you literally weren't taught how to do that. You weren't taught how to make things happen for yourself, you know. So you have to, in life, you have to teach yourself stuff later in life. Like, it took me years to learn empathy, and I still have to. It doesn't come naturally to me. I really have to make myself feel it and think about people and think about situations, you know. I'm such a hermit that I just have to do that sometimes, like, because I have a family and that. Not that I always see, but try and just be aware of things like that. If it's in the 7th house, though, let's say, this is another thing I want to throw out there, you could feel really that people rely on you too much, or they're like, it's the other way around, so they're like relying on you too much for help, and it's just, it happens to you all the time. Your children rely too much on you, your partner relies on you too much, yeah. And even enemies or people like that, you're not very good at like saying like no to, maybe. So that's something you want to be aware of. And you want to be aware of like your mother being very like financially very frugal. It depends like also with her moon sign for your relationship, you know. And another thing with astrology, your moon may be completely different to your sun sign. Like, the only Taurus moon that I really know, like I'll study obviously, is someone who's a Sagittarian. So those energies are very different. So, and I think they're a Gemini rising as well. So those three energies are so completely different. That's why I said, like, you can have all this thing, like, people are like, oh, astrology is just horoscopes. Nobody's just, like, the same sign. No, they're not, because you've got all these signs for these different planets out there, you know, and asteroids and whatever. And, yeah, so, so you could feel like, if you have moon opposition sun, let's say, you could feel completely conflicting energies, like your outer personality or who you are as a whole, not on an emotional level, but who you are as a person, like your values and stuff like that. It's really hard to like comprehend the different bits, like, for example, like your head and your heart. So these two things could be really different. So you need like maybe an activity that soothes your moon sign, and then an activity that brings out your sun sign or your Venus sign or your Mars sign, whatever it's like conflicted with or against, or even if it flows like together nicely, to balance it out and make it, because even if you can have too much of one sign, because I always thought if you had one sign and you were like a rising and the same sun sign, I thought, oh, you mastered that sign and you wanted to be that sign in its purest form. But no, it could mean you really need to master the energies of that sign in this lifetime to become what you're meant to later in your life. And like in our early they say around like up to 25 you are your moon sign more, which is very true, because we're very emotional when we're younger, especially during our like late teens to early 20s, you know, very fragile. Your brain's developing, your frontal cortex developing here, and you really need to get out and realise who you are as a person. Don't feel like you've got to be comfortable who you are as a person. Although I've said to you, like, don't feel anger at your mother, don't feel resentment at your mother. You need to accept who you are as well, because we're all beautiful in our different ways. And a moon in Taurus, like, although it may be exalted, it doesn't necessarily mean better. And that's why they don't see better and worse in astrology. They say harder or easier, or, you know, just things that like balance better than others. And some people just like have a load of trines in their chart where things like balance out really well, but it might just be really boring for them. So that might not be nice for them, but people see that and they might envy that because they've got loads of squares or opposition. So, you know, it's taking it the rough with the smooth of it. And if you did have a mother who you felt like it was all about just security of the home, and that was just such a basic thing, like, please try and like feel safer in that and later in your life or wherever you are at in your life, because home is so important, and that's where the heart is. And that's why, like, for a Taurus moon, that would be extra hard, because they really want that stability, and a moon in the second house really wants that stability of feeling like that. But that was their lesson they were put here to learn. That's part of their karmic debt, like you get if you're an orphan, like South Notes. Anyway, thank you for liking my second video of the moon signs and your relationship with your mother and your relationship with yourself. Please like and subscribe to my videos. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.